Social Studies 30-1, we're still in Chapter 6. Here is the economic spectrum assignment. It's a big assignment. It's an important assignment. What we're going to do is we're going to build a foundation that's going to help you with your position paper that I'll assign later on next week. So what you put together in the spectrum assignment, you're basically building arguments and establishing headings, etc., that you're going to use to make your position paper next week. It's going to make your life a lot easier, and that paper is going to be way more focused. So I would print this off. It should be under Chapter 6 under the content on D2L. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've listed all of the main economic concepts we've studied in the last month or so in Chapters 3 through 6. Some of them you'll probably recognize right off the bat. Others you might have to do a bit of review, do a bit of thinking about them. And some of them are brand new. So for example, I just added today the COVID-19 economic response from Trump and Justin Trudeau. So take some time, take a look at them, try to figure out what they were. You'll have to refresh your memories. And what you're going to do is you're going to label those terms on the economic spectrum. In terms of resources, we're talking about stuff that we learned in chapters 3, 4, 6, and only part of chapter 5, the part concerning Soviet totalitarianism, Stalin, collectivization, etc. So that's where you're going to draw this information from. If you need it at all, you might remember enough to be able to label it on a spectrum. You're going to use your notes, videos, documentaries. The Big Short could be used, all of the articles I gave you, and your balance sheets. And what you're going to do is you're going to plot those terms on the economic spectrum. So you're going to want to divide your paper in half. From east to west, you're going to label the left-hand side collective. The right-hand side is going to be individual. And you're going to build yourself a spectrum that you can pick and choose from to help you with your position paper next week. What you're basically doing is you're building a menu of information and evidence to help you with your position paper that I'm going to give out next week. I got it going for you. What I would do first is I would plot the extremes. So in thinking of the list that I gave you, communism, Marxism is the extreme left wing. That is extreme collectivism. You won't get any more left wing than that. So that goes on the far left. Communism, Marxism, well, they kind of mean the same thing. The 5-year plans are an example of communism and Marxism. So what you're going to want to do is some of those terms will be headings and some of the terms will be examples of those headings. So the 5-year plans would be an example of communism and Marxism. You might have to put Stalin in there somehow too. I'll let you figure that out. The far right technically is going to be classical liberalism. So that'd be the extreme right wing. And then a notch over from that far right is going to be neoconservatism. Friedman, Hayek were the fathers of the neoconservative movement. And the actual economic ideologies that were examples of neoconservatism would include Reaganomics, Thatcherism, and to a degree Trumponomics, although that doesn't really have to be on there. And so if neoconservatism is kind of around here on the spectrum, the New Deal would be almost close to center in terms of the American market economy or the economic spectrum in general. So the New Deal was a heading. And then these two specific alphabet agencies, the Civil Conservation Corps and the Workers' Progress Administration, are examples of the New Deal. So what you need to do, your task, is to fill in the rest of that terminology. As I said, some of them will be headings, others will be examples of those headings in action, and you've got to label your spectrum accordingly. If you do it the right way, when you do your position paper, any economic position paper, all you're going to do is look at your spectrum and go, aha, this could be an argument and this could be my evidence. So for example, I see neoconservatism as an argument, economically speaking. And here are examples, evidence that would support that argument. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. I'll talk more about that next week when we address the position paper. So that's your job. I'd like you to email it to me next week so I can at least take a look at it, make sure you're on the right track, because if you get this wrong, going to be hard to put together a good position paper coming up later on. So email me if you've got questions. It's not a big fancy project. It's just a way of brainstorming, categorizing information to help you with something bigger that is yet to come. That is the economic spectrum assignment. You don't have to provide an explanation or rationale for why you put them where you did. Um, it should just make sense. And if you're not sure, ask me and I can help you out with that. All right. Thanks.